Hello, everyone. Welcome. So happy to have all of you here. Let's wait a few seconds. Other people are joining. Okay, so as we wait all the people to join, I would like to introduce myself quickly. My name is Giuseppe. I'm Italian, but I am in Istanbul right now, and I've been living the past 7 years in China. I recently moved to Dubai. What about yourself? Can you type in the chat room where you guys are from and what are you guys doing? How you guys are involved in the education or language education business? Would love to see that. So can get familiar a little bit with the audience. Giorgio from Budapest, great. You guys can type where you guys are connected from. That would be great. Nicole from Italy. Ciao, Nicole. Francesca from Bologna, amazing. I was living in Bologna many years. I actually studied in the University of Bologna. Andrea, Italian in Spain. Natalie from Palermo, great. I'm actually from Palermo. I was born in Palermo. Chin, okay, ni hao, Chin. Okay, you are Chinese, but live in London. Okay, great. So Wyatt from US, teaching Spanish. Jamal Khan, if I hope I pronounce correctly, from Samsun, Turkey. Great. I am in Istanbul right now, so but I've been in Samsun, very beautiful on the Black Sea. Great. So we are from all over the world. That's great to see global community. And I would like to thank all of you to join the webinar today. Actually, the topic of the webinar today is very innovative and interesting because we're going to talk about the ownership economy, and more in detail, we're going to talk about actually Web3 and the blockchain and how this is going to disrupt the education industry in general. And then, of course, we're going to go deeper and talk about how Web3 can be applied in language learning. So this is a very, very innovative topic because that's a very new technology that is now start to be adopted by education institutions. And we're going to see a little bit how the technology works. And then we're going to see some of the applications. I'm also very excited because we're going to announce a new spin-off of EduGo, where we're going to focus on NFT and tokens for language learning. So that's very, very exciting for us. And I hope you guys enjoy this webinar. I know maybe for some of you, this might be a new topic. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. And I will try to answer to some of those questions in between like the presentation. Remember, there are not silly questions. Please ask any kind of questions you might want to have some clarifications, because I'm going to introduce a lot of new terms, a lot of new concepts, and maybe if you're not familiar, it will be great if you can ask so I can clarify some doubts. So I will start by sharing my screen, and we can start. Okay, so sorry. Here we go. Okay. So as I said, the topic of the webinar today is about the ownership economy and the application of ownership economy on online language education. To avoid confusion, I would like to clarify ownership economy can be synonymous of Web3, or all these kind of like new terms are emerging now, for example, like tokens and NFTs and the blockchain. So all of these are all like related. Each one of those terms have a little bit different connotation, but they're all in the same industry. So one of the most popular memes in the crypto space is about the Matrix, the movie where actually the Morpheus is giving the option to Neo to choose the red or the blue pill. And of course, Neo chooses the red pill, and then it discovers that the reality was living in, it was a simulation, right? So this kind of analogy is used in crypto, because we are saying that when you learn about those kind of principles of crypto, you're going to change your perception of reality. And then you're going to see, for example, the economic system from a new eyes, right? And so that's a little bit what I would like to do today. I would like to red pill you, so you can at least have a basic understanding of these concepts, and then you can start to explore this new industry. Another meme that there is in the crypto industry is about the rabbit hole, like Alice in Wonderland. When the rabbit is showing this rabbit hole that leads to the Wonderland, to this new fantastic place. And so this is another way to see it. So what I would like to do today is to show this rabbit hole, the entrance of the rabbit hole. And then I hope that you guys will continue the exploration and discover a lot of new concepts and ideas. The reason why I got into crypto in the first place is because crypto is very interesting in the sense that it is the subject that is the most multidisciplinary subject I ever encountered in my life. Because it starts with computer science, you have cryptography, you have like social sciences, you have economics, and now recently you have also about like art and culture, and all of that is all intercorrelated, which for me was amazing. This kind of like learning this kind of like new world. And I went very deep in the rabbit hole. It's already 5 years I've been exploring this space. So I hope I get you curious today, and you can start this new adventure in this rabbit hole. So the agenda for today will be the first, we're going to talk about like the next evolution of the web. So as we will see, the ownership economy is also called Web3 because it's the third iteration of the web. And I'm going to introduce some basic principles and what are the differences between the different evolution of the web. And then we're going to go in more in the education space. And so we're going to see how these new principles that we just learned can be applied in the education business, and some of the current application of blockchain in education. And then we're going to see new emerging applications such as like Learn to Earn. So you can play a game, learn a language, and earn money at the same time. And then at the end, we're going to see some of the future possibilities, how this industry can evolve and really like change completely the education industry. The origin story. So everything starts the October 31st, 2008. And this is the when a person called Satoshi Nakamoto published this white paper in a very esoteric cryptographic newsletter. And the title of this white paper was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Of course, everyone now knows about Bitcoin, but what is very interesting about this white paper, if you go read it, and I have a link if you're interested to know more, but what's very interesting is that Satoshi managed to solve a computer science problem that was impossible to solve before. And this is actually a computer science problem that enables like people to have a coordinated collaboration using cryptographic fidelity. What really means is that for the first time in history now, people can collaborate without trusting each other. And this is made possible by what's called proof of work, which is basically like a system that uses cryptography in order to ensure that people are real in the network. Many people maybe now hear about like, oh, blockchain is polluting a lot. The reason why blockchain actually like use a lot of energy is because there is this proof of work system that was introduced by Satoshi. And this is really like the beginning of everything, right? Because there is a new computing system, and now we can start to build a lot of new things on top. So Bitcoin was the first application, but as we saw actually like in the evolution of the web, we can see that in 2014, we had a new kind of blockchain that's called Ethereum. And these enable a lot of new things to start to work. And so from the beginning of Ethereum, we have what's called Web 3.0. So the first the first iteration was called Web 1.0, and this web actually was maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, and this web is like, the example is Wikipedia, right? The Wikipedia, what does it mean? Is Wikipedia is that just read. So basically, the main use case, you as a user in Web 1, what you were doing really was searching on Google some terms, finding maybe on Wikipedia some pages, you can read the pages, finding some other websites, but really the main use case will be to read. Then in around 2004, there is the next evolution of the web, where now users are able to also, post content on the internet. So we say that there is now two main use cases, which is read and write. Write, because now, for example, with social media, and I think 2004 is the date, the beginning of Web3, because we have the emergence of Facebook. Now you have users that start to publish content. And then, of course, with the mobile revolution around 2008, with the iPhone, people start to publish a lot of content because now they have cameras. And now we live in this Web 2 era, where actually every day we are publishing content on the web. But really important, what happened during Web 2 is that everything got centralized. So you have the emergence of Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, which are big companies that control the majority of the content that is published online. And this actually has some very bad consequences, because we are giving too much power to those platforms. As I said, from 2014, 15, we have actually like the emergence of a new kind of like web. Thanks to Ethereum, now we can have smart contracts, and basically now we can have like a new kind of applications that are born that doesn't require anymore like a central system, but now everything can be peer-to-peer. And therefore, having a peer-to-peer system means that the ownership of the system is distributed to the people. That's what we call ownership economy, because now people can own a piece of the internet. And this is for the first time ever, you as a user can own a piece of the internet. And this has incredible implications. So I give you like a brief definition of what is Web3. So Web3 is the next iteration of the web that is based on blockchain. And remember, blockchain is this kind of technology was built by Satoshi Nakamoto in the Bitcoin white paper. And these allow to be decentralized and to have a token-based economies. So there are a bunch of principles now that are enabled by this new computing system, which is the blockchain. I don't want to go too technical. I know like there's already like a lot of concept to grasp, but it's very important that you guys understand. And now we have a new internet, and you as a user can own a piece of this internet. That's the most important concept I would like you guys to understand. And not only you can own like Bitcoins, right? But now you can also have what's called NFTs. And NFTs are what's called non-fungible tokens, because the difference between like a Bitcoin, for example, and an NFT is that the Bitcoin are fungible. Fungible means it's like US dollar or gold, right? Like doesn't matter if I have $1 bill, I can exchange with you another dollar bill, we can exchange. And basically like they will be the same. But with NFTs, actually, things can start to become non-fungible. And non-fungible now, for example, you can have images. And now I put this image of this collection of NFTs called Bored Ape, because the Bored Ape Yacht Club is basically the most popular NFT collection in the world. And now those apes are selling for crazy amount of money, like even for millions of dollars. And the reason why those are so valuable is because those are scarce, right? Like on the blockchain, you can have for the first time scarcity. And you can have scarcity of assets that are non-fungible. So you have here like open up a universe of applications that we don't have time to go deep on the NFT side, but there will be like a very, very interesting to understand that NFTs are not just pictures. NFTs are a kind of new way to represent assets on the web, and you can own those kind of assets. Okay, all right. So like now we have some basic understanding about the blockchain, and I would like to start to go deeper on the education space, because blockchain can be applied in education. It's already applied in education. I can see maybe like if there is some messages in the chat. No, okay, great. So if you have any questions in the meantime, you would like to ask any kind of questions, would be great to ask. If there is something you would like me to go a little deeper to clarify, it will be great. But what I would like you guys now to understand is that we have these kind of new primitives. We have tokens and NFT, and now users can own something on the web. And so now there is applications of these new primitives, for example, in the creation of what's called like the certification system. And these are really like is something that's already existing and is already like gaining a lot of popularity. For example, in Scribbles, software is an American company that is providing certifications and records of students' accomplishment in the schools, and they already have more than 20 million users. So this is already something that already got a lot of traction. And I would like to tell a story like why we want to have this kind of certification on the blockchain. When I was in China, I spent 7 years in China, I applied for like a government grants. And basically, I need to validate to the government that I had my degree because I graduated from Bologna University in Italy. And I need to prove to the Chinese government that I actually have my degree. And it was a very long and tedious process in order to get this kind of certification because I need to get my degree certificate in Italian, and then go to some agency and translate it, and then they have to call the university in Italy and actually double check the certificate was real. So it was a very long process to do that and very inefficient. And so what blockchain do is actually like providing kind of like a database in the cloud that is verifiable and is trustless. So what does it mean? Is that you can verify, for example, if my certificate was uploaded on a blockchain system, the Chinese government could right away like verify that that certification was real. And that's a little bit is the promise of the blockchain right now. I can see exactly, Natalie, you had to validate your qualifications. That's exactly like what is blockchain actually solving. So you need to actually like validate that that certificate is real, and blockchain is very good for this because everything is verifiable. And so like another, so this is actually is, this certification system will have solved my problem, but still I have ways to solve this problem because I can still have like my university, I have my ID card, so everything can be verifiable. It just takes a long time. But if you go to the African continent, for example, you will find that many people in Africa, they don't have identity. So, for example, for me, that I come from Italy, the Italian government gives me an identity, like I can have a passport, I can have an identity card. But for many African countries, it's not possible for people to have identity. And so if you don't have identity and then you go to school, you cannot even have a certificate that you attended the school. So there is a big problem because those people then are left out of the economic system because they cannot prove that they went, they got education. So Atala Prism is a protocol that was actually like launched from Cardano, which is a blockchain. And they created an agreement. They have an agreement with the Ethiopian government, and basically they are going to give this identity protocol to all the students in Ethiopia, and basically they are going to be able to have identity and then to have like certification of the education. So this is going completely to change the education system in Ethiopia. And honestly, this is the biggest real world utility of blockchain right now, because we are getting like many people that are going to get this kind of certification. Okay, so this is the first use case, and this is actually what's already happening in the industry. Let's talk a little bit what are the next steps, because I think here things start to get very, very interesting. And the first example I want to give you is like what's called play to earn. And the example will be of Axie Infinity. And Axie Infinity is an amazing example because it's a game. Imagine like it's similar to the game of Pokemon, right? But instead of a Pokemon, you have those creatures called Axies. And basically what you can do is that you can buy one of those Axies as an NFT. And then you can basically battle other people who have those Axies. And whoever wins the battle will earn some tokens that are called SLP. And it's very interesting what's happening, for example, in Philippines or those emerging markets where the salaries, the basic salary is maybe like below $500. People are starting to get more money from playing Axie Infinity than actually with their normal job, and therefore SLP, which is the token that you earn from Axie that can be exchanged for US dollars, for example, is becoming a currency in Philippines, which is mind-blowing. And so people, some merchants in Philippines accept SLP as a currency to go, for example, buy your grocery, because many, many people are using this as a currency. So it's becoming like a very important currency, and it's becoming an economy. So people now play this game and this becomes their job. And this kind of principle is very interesting because it can be applied not only in this gaming industry, but can be applied also in education. And so there is an emergence now of a new applications that are called Learn to Earn. So imagine this, instead of battling your Axies, you can do something more interesting. For example, learning a language. And by learning a language, you can prove that you are using this software, and therefore you can get rewarded by having some tokens that has economic value. I think this is game changing, and therefore we created a system, and I'm going to share with you the next presentation, because here is very, very exciting, because we are launching a new spin-off of Edugo that is called Lingo To Earn. And this new spin-off is basically using Edugo technology in order to allow people to earn money by learning a language. And so this actually, the way this system works is that you can buy one of those pandas, as you can see in the screen. This will be your NFT. And then you can start learning a language. And as you learn, you are basically getting rewarded with tokens. And these tokens have economic value. So the problem this solves for education is the fact that when you go and learn a language, it's actually very boring and time consuming. And therefore, imagine like motivating students with money, that it will be an incredible incentive to motivate people to keep learning and stay engaged. I can see there is questions from Wyatt. That makes sense. I was confused as to the process Web3 was. Okay, so you guys are talking about the certification system. That's great. Okay, I will go back to the presentation. So the promise of Web3 applied to education is actually to solve the motivation problem. And so the solution we created is basically you can use an NFT and get rewarded by the time you use the NFT. So we are launching now one platform to learn Chinese. And so like you can actually buy the panda, play this game, and then earn tokens. But we're going to add also other languages as we move forward. And this is a little bit, the concept is a chubby panda, which is basically like a panda that is love eating Chinese food. And as you learn more, the panda is getting a little fatter. And so this a little bit is how you gamify the experiences. You make the, like the experience very gamified, and you also give reward to users. This is an incredible way to increase engagement of the students inside the platform. So here I explain a little bit how the game mechanics works. And those are the different levels. And so these are the concept we are launching, and we're very excited because it will be the first platform in the world to motivate the users to learn Chinese with NFTs and tokens. Okay, so if you have any question then about how this system works, I would like to show to you, and maybe I can give you more explanation. And then I can go back to the main presentation, which is actually about to end, because now I would like to talk about the creator economy. So right now we discussed about like current applications of blockchain in education, but one thing is very important is to discuss also what we believe will come next. And the problem I see right now in Web2, and here in the screen you can see, for example, company like Spotify, YouTube, or Facebook, is basically those companies are giving very little of the revenues that are generated to the creators that are in the platform. So the crazy example is about Facebook. It's just distributing $300 million to 2.9 billion users. So one user on average only gets $0.1. On the other hand, if you look on NFTs, the NFT market generated $3.9 billion, and we have 22,000 creators. So each creator gets $174,000 per creator. So of course, we can see here that they are completely opposite in terms of how much a creator gets when actually using Web2 against Web3. And this, we believe, is going to affect a lot of change, because creators like you, for example, if you are a teacher or you are a language school owner, and you are spending a lot of energy building on top of like online platforms, you just get rewarded a little bit. You don't get too much value from these kind of interactions. And we believe that the next evolution, the promise of Web3 will be that you as a creator on those platforms, you get rewarded with ownership of the platform itself. And that's, I think, what will happen in the next years. This actually is a very interesting quote, because it's from this venture capital in Silicon Valley. It's called Variant Fund, and they published this article. It's amazing. It's called The Ownership Economy. And basically what they're saying is that the product and services that will define Web3 and the next generation of the internet are those that can turn users into owners. We call this the ownership economy. And so I would like to conclude this presentation to say that as education moves more online, and basically the technology tools that you guys are using in order to teach are becoming more and more digital, it's becoming very important that those tools are not owned by a centralized company, that will not emerge a Facebook of education that will control all the data of all those users that are learning, because learning is something that is very important. And so what I believe will be the future of education in Web3 will be an education system that is distributed to all the people that actually are using it. And therefore, there is no central control, and all the people own a piece of this platform. And this is the only way we can ensure that we can move in a good direction, and therefore there is not a centralized company that is controlling the people's mind, a little bit like Facebook is now doing. And so that's a reason why I believe it's important that more and more people in the education industry understand the power of Web3 and start to push to have a more decentralized and democratic internet. So that's it. That's my presentation. I just wanted to have like an overview. I hope now you guys have a better understanding, and now we can open up like the discussion and Q&A. Please feel free to ask any questions regarding what you guys saw today, and also if you have any doubt or you want to go deeper in some parts, I would love to dig deeper, because this topic is very big. and it will be impossible for me to, in a webinar, to cover all of it. So I'm very interested to understand what is your perspective and what part of this presentation you find more interesting. Thank you so much. I will jump actually on the chat. So okay, so Wyatt is asking, so one of the major motivation currently in Web3 is to incentivizing learning through gamification. Yes, I believe this might be one of the first applications of Web3. Why I think is probably like the first one that also get a lot of attention is because in order to get something working in Web3, you need to have users, right? Imagine this, it's like the US dollar has value because a lot of people are using it, right? So currencies have value because the more people use it and the more people believe in it, right? So in order to start anything about Web3, it's important that you have many people that believe in something like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has value, honestly, because many people believe that has value. That's a very interesting thing about Web3 is the fact that the community element is the most important element because it's about what people believe. And so I believe that one of the first steps that we need to move in order to integrate successfully education and Web3 is actually like getting a lot of adoption, getting many people using it. And I believe that the best way to get people to use something is through gamification, because gamification is a process that make people very like willing to learn and to use a product. And this is, I think, like games will be the first part that will onboard a lot of users to join. And once you have a lot of users join, then you can start building other stuff, right? But if we don't have this initial base of users, then it will be impossible to build the other applications. But this is my opinion, right? Like I guess like other people might have different opinions, but I think the game to play to earn or like gamification of education and incentivizing users using tokens is one of the most powerful ways you can onboard many users inside these in the Web3 ecosystem. I hope it makes sense. And then, of course, I was talking yesterday with Web3 people because this is something very interesting is happening. Is you have kind of like the Web2 people, which is like people like me in the EduGo ecosystem, right? Like all traditional software companies, internet companies. And then you have this thing called like Web3 people. And Web3 people are basically people that are building all these like blockchain and NFT projects. And I was talking to them, and it's very different the way they think about the building products. One of the main differences is for them, the most important thing is the community. Whereas like for Web2, like the most important is the product, right? Like what you want to do is, for example, build a very nice product and then start to get users. This is a Web2. Web3 is the other way around. You need to first get a lot of users that love your branding, love your idea, and build a community. And then once you have this kind of base people that love your idea, then you can launch your token and this will become a currency of that ecosystem that you built. So it's a different kind of approach and also in building software in Web3. So that's also something that I'm discovering as I approach this space, and it's very interesting. It's a completely new mental shift in the way that you build companies in this space. So I have a question for you guys. What is the reason why you got interested in this? Okay, we have a question also from Wyatt. One could also accept cryptocurrency as a payment for language learning services, I will imagine, but you will need to accept many kinds of currency to be profitable. Actually, for the payment part and payment in cryptocurrency is something that is already available because there are now like systems like Stripe. I don't know if you're familiar with Stripe, or also PayPal. And those kind of platforms now are integrating crypto payments. So what does it mean is that if you have your language learning platform and you're selling your services, you can accept already crypto, and what you're getting is the money in US dollars or euros or whatever currency your bank account. So this is something that is already happening right now, and you know, you can already start to easily accept the cryptocurrency as a payment. The different is that if you want to natively have your crypto for your language business, then you means like you're creating a new currency, right? And that's a little bit what I was discussing today. And that's what we are doing now with this new project we're launching of Lingo To Earn. Is basically we are creating a new currency. And that means that users will actually like buy the NFT, use that NFT, and then earn this currency. And this currency can be used also to buy language services inside this network. So it's kind of like creating a new economy, right? So did you have like an economy, and you have the currency, and you have the assets running in the economy. So those are the two kind of models, right? One is like creating all this kind of economy ecosystem, and the other one is more traditional, like you have your platform, you're selling your services, you accept crypto. And it's important to make this kind of difference, right?
Question, how
Yes.
do you distribute the ownership to the other participants and make them owners so that they own a piece of the platform, the ecosystem, or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, thank you for the question. You can distribute ownership in different ways. I'll give you just the classic example is the Bitcoin network, right? So the Bitcoin is a decentralized network, and the ownership of the network is on the hands of the people that contribute to the network. For the Bitcoin, the contribution means that you are basically giving computation power to the network, right? So you're running those computers, and those computers are the one that make the network work. And so the Bitcoin network is designed in a way that to give some Bitcoins to the people that are contributing to the network. But this is for the Bitcoin network, right? There are other kind of networks, and of course they have other kind of mechanism to reward the participation. The basic idea you have to consider is that what is the unit of value that the network is generating. So for the Bitcoin, it's very simple. The unit of value is the security of the network. And therefore, you're rewarding users for security. For an education network, right, because or a language education network, maybe the unit of value will be the data that the people contribute in order to build this kind of like a learning system. And so you could reward the users because they are providing data and making, you know, the system smarter and the AI more solid. So depending a lot on what kind of unit value or the unit of economics that you are generating inside the network. I don't know if I answer correctly.
Yeah, follow-up questions. So if I'm a language teacher creating content, or if I'm a business language owner, what would be the incentives for me to join and own a piece of this software, or own a piece of the network or platform? What would be the incentive for me to do that and join this community, let's say?
Yeah, that's a good point. Imagine this: if you're like a language teacher and you're teaching in a Preply or I don't know, in any other kind of like platform, you're just basically working for this platform, and the value of the platform will go to the, I don't know, the investors, to the founders. So you're creating value for the platform because you are teaching there, but you're not getting any value from the kind of like improvement of the platform. What actually is changing with the Web3 is that this platform, instead of being controlled by like a small group of people, the platform is decentralized. Which means, for example, it's a language learning platform. You could build like a decentralized Preply. And what that means is that the platform is owned by the teachers. And the way you can earn more ownership of the platform will be, for example, to teach more hours, or to bring more users, more students inside the network, or to provide more content inside the network, right? So there will be different kind of ways. But why you should do that is because you can have a much bigger economic upside. And this is very interesting. If you join this kind of platform early, the upside will be even bigger, will be incredible. If you are one of the first teachers and then this platform become huge, then you will become like very, very wealthy because you will be one of the first people that join the network, and therefore your equity of the network will be very big.
So just to understand, if I am a language teacher and I teach and I talk in Preply, the only economic incentive for me to do that is because I get some revenue, but I don't own italki or Preply as a teacher. I just get paid because I teach a few hours. Whereas
Exactly.
if I join this other kind of community, I will own a piece of the platform?
Yes, basically you become kind of like the owner of the platform. That's why we call it ownership economy. So the ownership of the platform will be basically distributed to all the teachers that are in the network. That's how it works. Okay, we have a question from Cecilia. Thank you, Giorgio, for your question. But if you want, then we can discuss more about this point. So for Cecilia, actually, ciao Giuseppe, piacere, quanto piacere. My pleasure to meet you. I am new to the platform. I would like to understand how it's gonna to be processed between an Italian teacher like me and your new earn by learning. I will be able to create the language content. You will be providing the platform of the game. I hope explain me well. Oh, thank you for this question, Cecilia. So the initial game will be basically the student is playing some games inside this platform, is getting rewarded. You as a teacher, you will have the possibility to sell some of your content or video lessons, or whatever like your service you're providing to those students. And therefore, those students will be able to get your services, and you will be able to have a big audience of students that you can sell your services. However, what we want to do on the next stage, it will provide you as a teacher or as a school manager the possibility to create your own game. And this is actually very exciting because you can create your game system and then you can sell your NFTs and then give a part of the money that you earn by selling those NFTs back to the students because they are playing your game. So these are then, it will be the next evolution. That's the reason why we want to build this first game, is because we want to embed this kind of powers into the Edugo platform and then give these powers to teachers. So what we envision for the future is that you as a teacher, you can create your own NFTs and sell those NFTs and monetize from those NFTs and build this kind of game of play to earn in order to motivate users. That is going to be our next step. I hope it's clear. I know it's a little bit confusing, maybe, like all these new concepts, but if you want, then I can explain a little better. But yeah, the idea is that you're already, as a user of Edugo platform, as a teacher, you are already able to create games, right? You can create lessons, interactive activities. The next step will be turn those games into like a learn to earn system. Okay, hope is clear. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for your question. And Amazing. Okay, guys, I thank you all of you for joining this webinar. I know this is not the classic webinar we always do, like we didn't talk so much about pedagogy or digital marketing, but I think it's important for you guys at least to understand that all this hype there is right now, and people talk about the metaverse, people talk about NFTs. I mean, those are things that have a very big value in if you understand the principles, and then you can create very valuable products that have a real impact from users. I think like as we show you today, this learn to earn system, I believe is going to be one of the most powerful way that we can incentivize students to really like complete the learning process. And this is kind of like a new way of monetizing also for you as a teachers, because you don't have to sell anymore your language service, but now you can sell an NFT. And of course, when you sell an NFT, you earn money. And you know, like, and this can be a new way for you to monetize. And I believe that has a huge potential. There are going to be a lot of updates we're going to have in the next weeks and months about this play to earn. So stay tuned. We are launching this new platform. So of course, if you want to test it out, then you can also try. And maybe you can also get motivated to learn a new language with this play to earn mechanics. And as well, the platform I show you today, like the Lingo To Earn, will have a section with like teachers. So if you want to then get more students, you will have the possibility also to offer your language services in the same platform. Okay, so I guess we can wrap up. If you don't have any more questions, I would like to thank again all of you. And remember that the webinar recording will be available in our YouTube channel. So feel free to subscribe in our channel. Feel free to follow also our Instagram and LinkedIn. And I hope to see you in the next webinars. If you have any other questions, then feel free to reach on LinkedIn directly to me. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.